Just before we get into this video, guys, if you want to follow me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, the links are here. And if you also want to support me on Patreon as well and help out my channel, that would be absolutely awesome as well. But let's get on with the video. Hey guys, it's Wingy here and welcome to day 58 million of the stay indoors corona shit, whatever the fuck it is. I can't even think of a witty joke to start off and say it properly because I'm so fucking bored. Only joking, it's not been too bad for me, but I imagine for a lot of other people this has actually been a bit shit. And I suppose it is a bit shit because the weather's been pretty good. No pubs are open, you can't even go outside, you can't even say hello to people, you can't even see your friends and family. It's all the bullshit. Anyway, hope you're doing well. And as you can see from the title and thumbnail of this video, today we're going to be talking about a show that I have not spoken about on this channel ever, I don't think, or at least at length, because I hadn't seen it until recently. However, now that I have, I've got to admit, Breaking Bad is one of the greatest TV shows ever made, if not the best show ever made. So what this video is basically me gushing about Breaking Bad, talking about why I love it so much. It's essentially a why you should watch, but I imagine that's a redundant title because apart from me, who really hadn't seen Breaking Bad, like it's a crying shame that it's only just now that I've seen it. It stars Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul as Walter White, Jesse Pinkman. Basically, I mean, you guys already know this anyway, I would assume it's pretty much general knowledge at this point, but Walter White is a chemistry teacher. He's living a average life. He's underachieved for what he probably could have done. His life at home isn't great, and then he meets up with Aaron Paul, who is Jesse Pinkman, a former student of his, who is into like drugs and shit. And basically they team up and they start cooking meth together, but it turns out Walt's stuff is actually pretty good, so they keep going on with it. What I love about Breaking Bad is the fact that it starts off one way and by the end of the series it's like a totally different show. It's really weird, like the character journeys for all the main characters in this show is ridiculous. Some of the stuff that they go through is stuff that you would never expect anybody ever to go through. It is fucking nuts in places. And what's even weirder is with Breaking Bad, it does start off quite slow. So if you were like me who's not watched it, well I have now, but before, then stick with it. Just power through it because there are going to be some moments that are really tedious, really boring, but trust me, it all makes sense in the end. It all adds up. Everything is there for a reason. I don't think there's a single episode that I would consider filler, and I mean the Fly episode as well, because even though that was my least favourite episode, it still serves a purpose and I'm aware of that. At the beginning it's almost a borderline black comedy, the way that it is, like Walt and Jesse, and the fact that they're not very good initially at what they're trying to do, you know, like their setup is just a shitty RV, like they're hiding in the middle of the desert, like Walt's clearly no good with criminal stuff whatsoever, and Jesse, even though he plays the big man, like he's just as shit. Like it's so funny at first and there's a few humorous moments, but as the series rolls on it gets darker and darker and then even fucking darker and then pitch black and then even darker still. Like some of the stuff that certain characters do in this series are mind-blowingly horrendous, but it's so fascinating to watch. The whole thing about Breaking Bad that I love is the intricacy in the way that it is written. Every single character, every single line of dialogue is thought out from A to Z. Every single one. There are characters in this who genuinely will shock you by the end of the series. There are characters who you will loathe and then somehow end up loving. The acting in this as well is phenomenal. I don't think there's a single bad performance by anybody, whether it's the main cast, whether it's guest actors, whether it's a random extra, like none of them are bad. It's astounding to me how they managed to get together such an incredible group of people, and not only that, give every single one of them a fully fleshed out character. Like even smaller characters that you think would be insignificant, there's little details dropped about them throughout the entire thing, or the way that they react to certain scenarios, or they're thrust into a certain situation with different characters. Every single one of them is important. Every single one of them plays their role, no matter how big, whether it's Walter or Jesse, no matter how small, whether it's some of the incidental characters, like all of them have some sort of major impact on this show. There's no character that feels useless or underdeveloped, or you kind of wish that they just got rid of later on. There are certain characters who don't last the entire series, and that's fine. You feel like by the time they leave the series, whether it's in a nice way or not, you feel like they've gone as far as they could. You don't really feel like you wanted more. There's one character where I was just like, I really wanted more. However, I understand why it had to happen. I'm not okay with it still, but fair enough. But still, Vince Gilligan, fuck you. I'm gonna say a spoiler now. I mean, it's been out for years, so I'm sorry. Seriously, Vince Gilligan, why the fuck did you kill off Hank? Hank is fucking amazing. He was like my favourite character by the end. And then he gets shot in the head. Like, fucking bullshit, man. Bryan Cranston won a shit ton of awards for this series. And rightly so. Him as Walter White is terrifying. To see where he starts and where he ends up, like I say. Like, Walter, one of those characters that you start rooting for him early on because he's the protagonist, you know? He's the main character. We're following his story, so naturally you would gravitate towards him and you want him to succeed. And you understand the reason for him doing what he's doing, and it makes sense. But what I think is so great about Breaking Bad is this show tricks you into following the villain. From the very beginning, we think that Walt is supposed to be the good guy. We're supposed to root for him. By the end of the series, you're just like, you know what? Nah, he was the villain the entire time. In fact, they subverted your expectations. I watched a video about it not too long ago where they were discussing it, and they were saying that basically it tricks you into thinking that Walt is the hero and that a character like Hank or Skyler is actually the villain, when in actual fact, they're the characters that you should be rooting for. They're the characters that are the true protagonists of Breaking Bad. A character like Jesse, again, at the beginning you think, he's the bad influence, like Walt needs to stay away from him. By the end of the series, you're just like, Jesse needs to get the fuck away from Walter, because if he doesn't, his life is going to be ruined and he's going to end up either just a waster or dead. It's so good. It is so good, and it is so addictive as well. Like, I promise you, if you start watching this series, it'll get to a certain point where an episode will finish and you'll just be like, you know what, fuck this, I can't just not watch the next one because I need to see what happens. This is perfect binge watch television, and I think in a time when everybody is having to stay indoors, I would highly recommend watching Breaking Bad if you haven't already. If you have, then fucking do it again. Why not? In the comments below though, guys, let me know what you think. Breaking Bad, is it one of the greatest TV shows ever? Is it not? Whatever you think, let me know. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe for more. Social media and Patreon links will be in the description below, as always. So if you would follow me on any of those things, I'd absolutely love you forever. But till next time, guys, you take care of yourselves. Goodbye. I am the one who sips.